Hey guys, Tay here, back with some more Ironsight. As you can tell by the title of this one, we're going to be addressing some questions that newer players might have, like which weapons are good to start with, and what do the attachments do, along with some helpful gameplay tips and tricks, and a whole bunch of other stuff that newer players might find useful. With that being said, let's get this party started, shall we? So you've just downloaded Ironsight, logged in for the first time, and you're staring at that pretty extensive list of weapons trying to decide which one to spend your hard-earned gold on. For me personally, it was a pretty easy decision. My first weapon was the MSBS 556B, and the reason it was such an easy decision was because I got it for free from my first level up loot box. And honestly, I'm not sure I could have gotten a much better assault rifle to start off with. The MSBS is a very well-rounded weapon that worked incredibly well at close to medium ranges. I was pretty satisfied with it for quite some time, but you know, everybody's got to move on eventually. Now, which weapon did I want to move on to? The K2C came to mind because I already had it unlocked, and it turned out to be a pretty solid piece of weaponry. Very similar to the M4 without actually having to spend any of your money on it. But like I said, Ironsight has a pretty extensive list of weapons to choose from, and those two are not the only ones that are worth your time. For assault rifles, the K2C is a very good weapon that everyone already has unlocked. If you're wanting to try a different weapon in the assault class, hoping that you'll find something better, you might not. The K2C is a pretty damn good gun, and I was honestly surprised that it was the first weapon you get. But if you are looking to try something different, because everyone does get bored from time to time, I can totally recommend some of the fan favorites. The MSBS 556B, obviously, I just told you how much I like that one. Next, if you're looking for something a little more semi-automatic, I would suggest the M39 EMR. I really like the way that gun handled, and its fire rate was spot on in my opinion. If you're looking for something with a bit more of a punch though, the AK-47 or the SCAR-H are two heavy hitters that drop players pretty quickly. They both have a bit of a slower fire rate, but they do so much damage that it all balances itself out. And last, if you want an assault rifle for the closer ranges or indoor engagements, my pick would be the G36C. It's a bit more compact than the other assault rifles, but still offers a pretty quick fire rate and does decent damage. Well, assault rifles are good and all, but what if the match calls for an SMG? In my mind, there are three that stand out. The LWRC-45, which hits really hard for an SMG, but has one of the smallest magazines of any of the SMGs, meaning there will be lots of reloads. Next up is one of my all-time favorite SMGs, the P90TR. It has a really big magazine, an incredibly fast fire rate, and does significant damage through cover without the need of the armor-piercing bullets bullet type. And the third SMG I want to tell you about is the absolute crowd favorite. Everyone loves to use it and hates to die to it, the AR-57. The AR-57's magazine is the same as the P90, along with a lot of how it handles. The difference is the AR-57 is a bit more accurate and seems to do more damage at the longer ranges, where the P90 has that whole armor-piercing thing. If you're new to Ironsight and want a slight edge over the competition, the AR-57 is a really good starting weapon to try out. SMGs are really good if you're all about getting into people's faces, but what if you're not into that and you'd rather hang back and shoot their face off with a sniper rifle? Well, there really aren't too many sniper rifles in Ironsight, and I feel as though the game could probably use a much wider variety of this weapon class. However, in my opinion, of the rifles that are currently available, two stand out. The Blazer R93 is your classic bolt-action sniper rifle that works really well for both quick scoping and hard scoping. If I had to choose which gun to buy, that's the sniper of my choice. There's a reason it's the fan favorite, you know. So that's the bolt action. Now let's talk a little bit about the semi-automatic sniper rifles. Personally, I'd say if you're looking for a semi-automatic sniper rifle, I'd just stick with the semi-automatic assault rifles. You can even get a rifle scope on them, giving you more than enough magnification for most of the maps in Ironsight, with the exception of downtown, where you might need a little bit more magnification. But yeah, I'd say just stick to the assault rifles like the HK417 or the M39. However, if you really want a semi-auto sniper rifle, the CF-X50 is about the only one I would suggest spending any money on. The rest you should just hold out on until you get them from a loot crate. They're really not worth the time or the money in my opinion. So those are the two sniper rifles I would suggest for any new player to try if they want to get into sniping in Ironsight. And we're moving on to the big boys, the LMGs. Now this is going to be pretty quick. I don't really suggest the LMGs at all. None of them, in my opinion, are worth your time or your money. Now I know some of you really want to try out the LMGs because in a lot of games they are pretty OP. However, not so much in Ironsight. In this game, the LMGs have crazy recoil, are pretty inaccurate, and their bipods are just cosmetic that don't actually do anything at all to help your recoil. Of the four that are available, the only one that's worth any of your time at all would probably be the Ultimax 100. I know this is going to sound petty, but it doesn't have a bipod that doesn't do anything at all. The Ultimax 100 has a foregrip, which you actually use in game. Not that it makes a difference statistically, it's just one of those cosmetic things that drives me crazy. I hate seeing things put into games that don't actually have a purpose. If you're going to put a bipod on your weapon models, make sure that they actually deploy when you lay down and not just flop all over the place like a wet noodle. Battlefield is a good example of what I mean by bipods deploying, and I know their system doesn't work perfectly all of the time, but it's better than nothing. So all in all, I wouldn't recommend an LMG to a new player. I would stick to the SMGs like the AR-57 or the assault rifles like the AK-47. Next up, I want to talk to you guys about sidearms a little bit, and without a question, a few months ago I would have said shotguns all day. However, after the Phoenix update, the shotgun's range received a serious nerf, making them almost unusable. I would not suggest you use them at all unless you plan for some seriously close quarters fighting. Of the sidearms that are available, a few have very specific uses. The EMP launcher and the EMP MSGL are both designed to take out drones and don't actually do a whole lot of damage to players, so keep that in mind when you're choosing your loadouts and picking your game modes. The EMP launcher locks onto targets such as spy drones or hellbirds, and the EMP MSGL works really well for clearing robots and resource takeover. Now if you're looking for a sidearm specifically for dealing with personnel, my favorites are the Card for its fully auto capabilities, the Desert Eagle for its stopping power, and the Python for its pure dirty hairy badassery. So those are my picks for each of the weapon classes. Now before you go running off and buying one of these weapons to try out, I want to mention that each of these guns within the game can be rented for a 24-hour period for 4,200 gold instead of buying it for 20,000 gold. So if you're not sure if you're going to like a weapon, you might want to rent it first to see how it feels for you. Any progress you've made on a rented weapon transfers over whenever you do decide to buy it, so you don't have to worry about leveling it up all over again. Another quick thing I want to throw out there, before you buy the P90, the Blazer, or the Ultimax 100, make sure to check in with your daily login rewards. Throughout the month, you'll unlock different skins for those weapons, along with the SG553 assault rifle, that you can test out to see if you like them, kinda like the rental system, except they look much better. Those are the weapons that I would suggest, but I've also received quite a few questions concerning the attachments, like which ones do I pick and what do they actually do. So we're going to break this down just a little bit here for you guys, starting off with the muzzle brake versus the compensator. Both of them kind of do the same thing, just one expels gas out the side of the barrel while the other expels gas out the top and the bottom of the barrel. The muzzle brake reduces your left to right sway while firing, where the compensator reduces the up and down sway while firing. Now, I can't exactly tell you which one to use. It'll be different for each weapon because they all have a different recoil pattern. If the weapon you chose has a lot of up and down recoil, use a compensator. If it swings left to right, use a muzzle brake. Moving right along to one of the biggest mysteries in Ironsight, what does the modified rifling and the precision barrel do? Well, for this explanation, I'm gonna need a visual aid, and thankfully, another YouTuber by the name of GnomeDelph made a graph about a year ago that I recreated in order to show you what these two attachments do. Basically, the modified rifling allows you to kill players at closer ranges with less shots, where the precision barrel allows you to kill players at longer ranges with less shots. If you'll look at the graph, you'll see that at 19 meters, it will take you 5 shots to kill someone without any attachments, where it would only take 4 with the modified or precision barrel. You'll notice that the modified rifling allows you to kill players with less shots up to 21 meters, but then has a sharp drop off in damage, whereas the precision barrel requires more shots at closer ranges than the modified, but less shots at the longer ranges. Basically, to sum it up, if you're going to be fighting in closer quarters, I would suggest using the modified rifling. If you're going to be one of those guys that sits back and picks unsuspecting players off, the precision barrel is the attachment for you. Now up to 18 meters, it really doesn't make a difference, but any point after that, you'll see that either attachment is better than no attachment at all. The rest of the attachments are pretty self-explanatory, and if you have any more questions on them, you can always drop a comment down below, or check out some of the other videos I have in the Ironsight Explained playlist. Alright, those were the attachments. Now let's check out the bullet types. There are 2 different ones to pick from, and neither description is very good. First off, we have the armor-piercing bullets, and though you would think they'd be self-explanatory, they are a little deceiving. What they actually do is allow you to do more damage through cover than the standard bullet types, and if your weapon could not do damage through cover before, it now can. For example, if it would take you 4 hits to kill somebody behind cover before, these bullets now let you kill in 3 hits. Next up is the soft point bullet. The soft point bullet doesn't do at all what the description says. It says something about a large hole, but what it actually does is, when you shoot a player with the soft point bullets, it causes them to flinch more than your standard bullet type, causing their aim to be off, and hopefully they'll miss you. So again, I can't tell you which is better. It all depends on your playstyle, which weapon you're using, and what you personally like to do. I myself like to stick with the soft points just because I like to make people flinch and miss me and hopefully receive less damage so that when I get to the next fight, I'll be better off. We've got your weapon all ready to go and set up. Now let's take a look at your skills. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory and it really doesn't require me to go over it, but there are some that I prefer over others. For quick scoping, I like quick aim for obvious reasons, but there are certain game modes like Secure Point where I always wear blast protection for those grenades. Now that we've gone through weapons, skills, and bullet types, I feel that I should drop a few gameplay tips to help you guys get better at the game itself. Everyone has more fun when they're playing well. The first tip I want to throw out there regards reloads. In Ironsight, there are two different reload animations, one for an empty magazine and another for a magazine that still has ammo in it. The empty magazine animation is a little slower because you have to pull the slide back and reload the bullet into the chamber. If you still have a bullet in the chamber, however, your character skips pulling the slide back, allowing you to reload a little faster. I would like every new player to start practicing reloading their weapons before they run out of ammunition completely. This will save them a second on the reload, which might just save their life. Obviously, don't reload after every kill unless it's safe to do so. One of the biggest issues when I first started playing was dying a lot while I was reloading. Every time I'd reload, somebody would take me out. Tip number 2, which might actually sound a bit counterintuitive, but don't aim. Now, I don't mean to just spray all over the place all willy-nilly. What I mean by that is, most of the weapons in Ironsight work really well when hip-fired. You don't actually have to aim down your sights in every engagement. Aiming down your sights takes time, and during that time, you're incredibly inaccurate. If the enemy is close enough, just hip-fire and chances are you'll kill them. A lot of new players to Ironsight are coming from other games where hip-fire doesn't work quite as well, and they've trained themselves to aim in every fight. That's something that everyone, including myself, has to get over if they're ever going to get better at Ironsight. This game is very fast-paced, and the time to kill is pretty short. If you're taking half of a second to aim down your sight and the enemy isn't, you're dead. Tip number 3, one thing a lot of players overlook is their in-game sensitivity. A lot of new players wonder why their aim is off or how come they're missing so much, and chances are it's because of their sensitivity. Using these buttons on your keyboard, you can fine-tune your sensitivity to perfectly match you. If you notice your cursor falling short, increase sensitivity. If you notice your cursor overshooting your targets, then lower your sensitivity. One way to know for sure is to record yourself playing and watch the recording back at a slower speed to see what's going on. I'd recommend getting your settings right while playing a little bit of practice against some bots. That way you can take it easy and practice and fine-tune it until you get it just right. So those are some gameplay tips. However, I've got a few more things I want to throw into this video. Make sure to check back in with the store on a regular basis to claim your free chips, especially the new players. Saving up chips from the store and opening up containers is a great way to get skinned weapons, which can be used when the base models haven't been purchased. Now in the past, I've done a video on how to level up your weaponry faster in Ironsight so you don't have to wait so long until you get those attachments. I'll make sure I put that at the end of this video so you can head over to that video and get a quick tutorial on how to level up if that's something you need as well. Alright guys, well that's all the tips I have for you in this video. Hopefully you guys got something useful out of it, and with that being said, I'm going to get right back to work on the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later!